to another episode of the Flotilla Update. I'm Noah David Simon. So this week was all about Reuters. Reuters published a photo claiming that, it's really hot, I have to get something to drink, that Israel, pardon moi, that Israel was responsible for the border skirmish. They had a photo which showed an Israeli soldier reaching over the fence. Of course, Israel regularly reaches over the fence because they have to trim the trees because they get attacked and they have to see through those trees, rockets, whatever else is firing guns at them. So Reuters, of course, published the photo claiming that Israel caused it, and therefore they had to shoot him because he stepped over the line, which I don't see the logic of that, even if it was the line, which it turned out to not be. If you actually go to, and if you're interested, I could send you the video, but there's an actual UN video about the blue line, describing how the blue line works, and the fence isn't actually the blue line. The fence was put up by Israel. It's a safety to keep people from going near the blue line in most places, where the Israeli soldier was trimming trees and doing work, not exactly fun stuff, cutting trees so that you don't get shot at. Apparently that was not the border. They started firing at him. Of course, more Lebanese were killed than Israelis, because once they started shooting the Israelis shot back. Would you expect them not to? They're shooting at them. Media portrays that, oh look, 2 Lebanese soldiers dead, 1 Israeli soldier dead, but it was completely Israel's. It was completely Israel was completely innocent. They were trimming trees on their side of the border. Like I said, the fence, not the border. And of course, Reuters tried to cover it up. Then the UN came in and said, well, basically, Israel's story is true. And then Reuters refused to admit that their story was false. There are a whole lot of details in this. I won't. You can go to my blog for them. As far as Reuters' story, but in the end, basically, here's the 2 things that I can conclude. One is Reuters is cooperating with the Lebanese, who are trying to find reasons to take pot shots at Israelis. Or 2, Reuters is waiting at the border, looking to cause trouble. One or the other, it's not good. Now, there was a recent poll released that was done in the Arab world, and it said that 70% or 71% of Muslims, they don't care about Palestine or Israel. They just don't care. That's a really good thing, because for a very long time we assumed they did. The simple fact of the matter is most Arabs really don't care. So, when you have Reuters cooperating with the Lebanese and Hezbollah, you have to wonder if our enemy is the Arabs, or if it is an elite leftist cabal of totalitarians that are attacking Jews. I really do not feel that the average Arab is actually responsible for what is going on anymore. I'm almost 100% certain of it, and I think this event that happened this week illustrates it perfectly. The media is at war with Israel. The people are not. Very few Arabs, it's not that they like Israel. It's not that they like Palestine. It's that there's TV and there's radio, and while in the past these people might have been uneducated, there have been certain steps because of the oil money that certain countries, like for example Jordan, have been educating Arabs, and they're educated enough to know that this continued war with Israel isn't helping their conditions. It's not helping their position. So they don't care. They don't want to fight. Who's fighting Israel? A few people and a few radicals and the media. It's very obvious that Reuters is the real enemy. They set up this position, as it turned out, with the border between Lebanon and Israel. We know how this is a fault line, how dangerous the border between Israel and Lebanon is, and that any mistake and it could escalate into many, many deaths. And of course, a little mistake like what happened at the border, where could escalate to people keep on returning fire. One of the things that happened when Israel did return fire, even though they were attacked first, is there was a call for a ceasefire so that they could get the people that got shot out of the so-called war zone. And at that point, Lebanon kept on shooting at Israel, apparently. So this was an orchestrated attack by the media on Israel. It was no different than the flotilla. It's an ongoing public relations campaign to destroy the